Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you. Thank you
International.
for having me.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank you for
Regina, for having
joining.
me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm just going to say again, welcome to International Women in Leadership. And we're excited to have you in our podcast. So, Tiffany, tell me a little bit about your background. Um, where are you from and what inspires you?
I guess I'll start with where I'm from. My family's originally from Jamaica. So even though I have a Hispanic last name, which is from my marriage, from my husband, my family is from Jamaica. And I was born in New York and then migrated to Florida. And so just a little bit about that. I married 20 years to my husband. Very, very proud of that. That's if anyone's married or has been married, you know how hard that can be. And hard but rewarding. And then I have two children. I have a son, he's 16, Caleb, and a daughter that's 12. Her name is Gabrielle. And we live in South Florida. And
What?
so yeah, we migrated here many, many years ago when I was a teenager. And you asked me a little bit about my background. So when I moved here, as a kid, I knew I wanted to be in tech and I wanted to design video games. And that's how I kind of got started in tech. I, excuse me, I signed up for a high-tech high school and I forged my dad's signature. So when he watches this, he's going to laugh about that in order to get into this high-tech magnet school. And I went to that school, and that's how my tech career started in high school. And then I moved on to get a degree in management information systems and then my master's. But that's how I started my career, and that's a little bit about my background.
Amazing. So Tiffany and I were talking earlier, right? Just to share with everybody. And we said, oh my goodness, we're doing this virtual podcast. But if we were in person, I'd be sitting in a couch together next to each other, drinking a glass of wine. So
Yes, yes.
one of these days when we get the opportunity to actually do an in-person podcast, that's my goal, guys. It's like let's talk and drink at the same time and have some great
Mhm.
conversation.
We'll
But thank you
settle
so
for
much.
water, but you owe me a glass of wine, Regina.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But any of you who want to have a glass of wine out there while we're doing our podcast, you're more than
Feel
welcome
free.
to, yes, take a snapshot and share it with us as well. Awesome.
Yep.
So, today we're going to talk about how to be the CEO of your life, right? And you've got an amazing background, your career in project management. So tell us a little bit about your career journey.
Yeah, so I mentioned a little bit about how I always wanted to be in tech as a kid. And I started my career actually after, while I was in college and after college at a dealership, a Lexus dealership here in South Florida. And I worked in their IT department. And I didn't even know what project management was. It was like when I was in college, it wasn't like nowadays you can get a degree in it. When I was in college, you couldn't get a degree. You could get certified as a PMP, but you couldn't get a degree in it. And so I had this amazing experience where I was working in tech, doing everything that desktop support does, network admin does, system and admins do. I was racking and stacking servers, fixing printers, doing everything that you do in that world. And a woman came in from our corporate office and I loved her energy and I wanted to know what she was working on. And she turned out to be a project manager. And she took me under her wing and allowed me to like shadow her and learn about project management. And I never looked back. So I have been a project manager all those years. And she's still a friend of mine. We talk every morning on the phone. And this is like decades later, right? And so I always remind her how if it weren't for her giving me a chance and allowing me to shadow and mentoring me, I don't I mean, I would have eventually figured out what project management was, but she allowed me to fall in love with it.
Wow. And what were some of the key things about project management that attracted you when you got into that career? Like what called you from
Yeah.
that type of work?
It was people. You get to bring people together. You get to bring the thing that I love most, which is technology and people together. And I just love that. I loved being able to help put together a plan and allow these brilliant people in tech to bring whatever solution they created to the hands of people who would then use it. And I think that's what really shines for me when it comes to project management. Just to kind of go off on a tangent, a lot of people talk about how AI will take over this and AI is going to take over that. And I was just saying today, it can never take over project management. Because project management is rooted in people. If it can be a great tool for us and use it to make your job faster, but when it comes to like solving the real problems of people, project managers are needed for that, right?
Amazing. I know that, and you and I have a lot in common from the
Mm-hmm.
same degree and the same type of work that we started in our career. We had not talked about that, but we do. We have a lot
Mm-hmm.
in common
Oh, good.
there.
Yeah.
Now, I know that in the last many years, right? Because we've been doing project management for a long time, project management has evolved.
It
And
has.
one of the things that I have found, and now I'm an agile coach. I'm an enterprise agile coach. So I sort of transitioned, but I found that my experience from project management was such a great foundation. And there were so many very specific areas in project management, from leadership to risk management to solution management to problem solving to time management. There's so much in there that has contributed in order to, number one, manage very successful projects that are millions of dollars, but also the skills that have built our leadership skills and how it's allowed us to like move up in other roles. Tell me a little bit about sort of like your knowledge in those areas and how you see that making us more well-rounded as not just as project managers, but as leaders, right?
Yeah. So interestingly, Regina, I've been a project manager for many years, and as a project manager, you indirectly have people reporting to you. They don't, you're not responsible for their year-end performance reviews or their bonuses or anything like that. So they indirectly, so you're always a leader when you're a project manager. But when you become like a people leader, it's very different. The two are very different. So I had an experience of being a leader and encouraging people, motivating teams to work together and solve problems and encouraging people in their growth. But when I shifted to a people leader, it was a very different experience for me. And I wasn't necessarily trained on how to do that. And so I want to take a little bit of a moment to talk about that. A lot of people get promoted because they're good at what they do. And I was good at delivering projects. And so the thought was, you're good at this. You can help other project managers be good at it. And so I was kind of like, here you go. You got 5 people reporting to you overnight. And that was a wake up experience for me. So during that, I learned not just how to help people deliver, but also how to motivate people in their own professional career growth and how to get people to really show up authentically every day and wanting to work with your team. And that took some time.
Wow.
It was
No,
difficult.
that's wonderful. Back to the project management side, I mean, we know projects are challenging, right?
Yeah.
You know, they're never on schedule, they're never on budget. What are some of the techniques that have made your project management approach successful? What would you recommend? Because I know there's some folks there also with some of that background that perhaps are,
Yeah.
are listening in.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend transparent communication. A lot of times people want to hide that their project is not doing as well as they had hoped, and so maybe the schedule is slipping, maybe the resources aren't delivering, maybe the technology is more difficult than they had anticipated and there's a learning curve, and they don't transparently communicate that, and then the project slips all the way off the rails, and now you have to recover, right? There's a lot to recover. And so I've been on projects in the past where certain stakeholders will say, well, let's not report that that happened just yet. Let's wait a little bit. Let's not say it's red or it's yellow. And then you end up having to go from a green status all the way to red because you weren't transparent. And that really looks bad on a project manager because the project manager is supposed to be the transparent, honest, almost like a news deliverer, and you have to be honest. You can't put things in the shadow and hope that they will get better. So that's what I would say. would be my number one recommendation. Projects will slip, but maybe there's a way that, hey, this happened, these things came up, this is new and different. And a leader will say, okay, understood. Let's move the date out a few weeks. But if you hide it and try to recover and it doesn't work, then that's no good.
Absolutely. So definitely the relationship with our business stakeholders, right? And with
Absolutely.
leadership, number one. And then tell us a little bit about the change management side of things. Why is that
Yeah.
important?
Yeah, so change management, in the beginning, I was talking about when technology is developed or a solution is implemented and you have to bring it to the hands of the user, right? And so in change management, I'm talking organizational change management, right? There's two types, but org change management is getting users to actually use whatever the solution or technology is, to adopt that technology. Communication, training is very important, coming back into that. Just giving people an opportunity to get comfortable with the technology and not just throwing it over the fence to them. So that's change management is a huge part of project management, because if you don't plan for the communication and a successful rollout, people won't use it. They'll go back to the tools they're comfortable with, or they won't use it to its full capacity. They won't use it well, and you don't get what you invested in, right? That technology or that application that you invested in, you won't get. So yeah, change management is extremely important when it comes to how you plan a project. Imagine you throw a big party and you do everything, you spend all this money, and no one comes, right? And so that's kind of what that feels like, is if you spend a lot of money on a technology and you went through all this trouble to get it there, but no one shows up for it. So
Well, I'm excited because you're a woman, you're a leader,
mhm.
and part of your story is you started your own company. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that.
So I have always done consulting. I did during the pandemic. I didn't have a hobby, and like many of people, I was stuck in the house. So I'd work my full-time job, and then I did consulting, and it was so rewarding. I'd never felt so fulfilled in being able to pour back in other people and just help people build businesses. And I'm a big people lover. I got to meet so many different people. And so I did that for a couple of years, and that really encouraged me when I got laid off. And we had a lot of layoffs in 2024, but when I got laid off, a good friend of mine encouraged me to start a business because she knew that consulting was a passion of mine. So together we co-founded Premier Project Solutions, which is my company, in 2024, and we offer IT delivery consulting and project delivery. And so it's been a fun ride. I've really have a strong focus in healthcare right now, delivering AI to healthcare, doing different initiatives like getting the hardware and infrastructure ready for EHR, which is electronic health records systems, and getting it ready for that. And so, yeah, healthcare has kind of snatched me, and I haven't been able to wiggle free yet, which is fine. Although the company does span across all industries, I have a strong focus on healthcare right now.
That's amazing, but it's so different to be the owner of your own company,
Very
right?
different.
Versus working for another company. What are like your biggest challenges as an
Oh my
entrepreneur?
gosh. It's very challenging, Regina. We'll have to have another date, you and I, to just talk about that, because you're
Yeah.
definitely further ahead than I am. I didn't realize I was going to have to be my own developer, my own website person, my own marketer at times. I do have a marketing team, but my own marketer at times. I have to do everything. My own lawyer to make sure the legal contracts are right.
Yeah.
You don't pay true appreciation for when you work for an organization, all the pieces that have to come together to make one deal happen. And so I think now I have a true appreciation for that. But every time I overcome an obstacle, I'm filled with such joy, right? And so it's challenging but very rewarding.
I love it. I always say that I have like 3 to 4 jobs because I'm always doing so many different things. It's just what keeps things exciting, right?
It does.
And it helps us grow and learn, right? We always talk about the continuous improvement mindset. So that kind of leads to the next topic. We were talking
Mhm.
about like personal brand, remember? And
Yeah.
sort of like, what does personal brand mean to you? There's a lot of different topics around that. There's like the branding of your company, the branding of you as an individual and your message, but there's also kind of like self-advocating for yourself. Do you have anything you'd like to share in that area? Any stories that this brings to mind?
Yeah, I'll share briefly on my brand and how I would define that. I think my brand is aligned to my character. And as a leader, I always want to show up authentically. I want to have strong integrity, do what I say I'm going to do, and be honest in everything I do. If you've ever worked with me in the past, and anyone who's watching this who has, knows that's what I truly stand for, and sometimes the truth hurts, but if you deliver it with love and integrity, then, people can receive it. And I want my company to also reflect that. I want to build something strong on a foundation of integrity and honesty. Um, so I'll say that about the personal brand. And then about being your own advocate, it's important to have people that will advocate for you. But if you won't take a bet and a risk on yourself, and really put yourself out there at times, then who better than you to do it? Who else would want to do it if you're not going to do it for yourself? And I look at advocacy and self-advocacy that way. There are times that you really need to step up and say, hey, I deserve to be paid more, and let me show you why. And get in front of the right people and make a case for yourself, just like you would if you were the leader of someone else and you had to advocate to get them a raise. Why not do it for yourself? There are times when you have to advocate for yourself to leave a good company and take a risk to leave and go somewhere else. And that would be a perfect example for myself when I worked for an amazing company. They've done no wrong. They're still here in South Florida. And I worked for them for 13 years, but I started with them when I was 18, and I
Wow.
grew with them. They paid for me to get my master's degree, and I was like, this is an amazing company. All my friends worked there. I had tons of family members that I had brought into the company, and I woke up one morning and I was like, I gotta go. And everyone was like, what happened? Did something happen? And I'm like, nothing happened. I just have to advocate for myself and put myself somewhere else where I can get some projected growth and new experiences. And so I think you sometimes we get stuck in spaces, and if we don't push ourselves to move on, then you don't get to see and do new things and experience new things. I'll tell you, Regina, after I left that amazing company, they're still amazing. I got a 40% bump in my salary. I got promotion after promotion every year because I was doing new things and I had this rejuvenated like excitement about the work that I was doing. And so sometimes you got to really advocate and push yourself out there.
Absolutely. I know that taking risks is difficult, right? And
Mhm.
change is hard. Um, for many of you that are out there in the technology industry, we know that right now with the economy, a lot of my personal friends have been losing their jobs. They've been laid off. In our experiences, and each season is a little bit different for everybody, but usually when something happens, it's for a reason and something
Mhm.
better comes along. At the moment is very difficult to see, right? Especially if you've been with a company for a very, very long time. And especially when we've been laid off and we don't expect it. Those are some of like the very normal experiences that a lot of folks are going through. But just think about it from this perspective. Whatever's around the corner, just like Tiffany, just like what you were saying, is actually something better. It's an opportunity for growth because maybe we
Yes.
were stagnant. Maybe we were not learning something new, right? Maybe we were not challenging ourselves. So we always have to look at those as opportunities for growth, and
Yeah.
put ourselves, what is it, think out of the box, right? Step out of our comfort zone, and that's really when we grow the most. and we
It is.
discover things about ourselves that we didn't even know before. You know?
So, Regina, have you ever been laid off from a job before?
Yes, that's why I'm talking
Okay.
about that as well.
Okay.
It was yeah,
I think we
it was
should
a
dig
long
into that for a
time.
second.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And of course, at the moment, it's shocking, right? Because you're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, especially when you're not expecting it. But
Yes.
then I'm very, very fortunate that a couple of months later, what I found was actually making more money, and I was able to get like a higher position. But also, just like you, I've made the choice to leave certain positions in certain companies, because sometimes when you're too stagnant in one place for too long, it's hard to get a raise. It's hard
Yes, it's
to get
true.
a promotion. And it's only when you leave a company and jump to another company that you're able to actually make a big jump in salary.
Imagine.
That's been my experience. I experienced a little bit of everything there. And then I
Yeah.
started my company too. So there's a lot there as well.
Yeah, no. Imagine, like I said, I started with a company when I was 18 years old, and you're there. You get the pennies, and that's just
Yeah.
how it is. A raise. And so when you leave, the bump was significant, and that could happen for a lot of people as well. But I want to just talk for a second about the economy and layoffs and the encouragement for other people as well. That was one of the most devastating things for me because I literally came back from vacation, and that first, I'd never been laid off from a job or lost a job before. And in 2024, I come home from a vacation, get on the computer for my first day, and I see an HR meeting. And I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm a leader, so maybe something's going on. This has nothing to do with me. And I get on the phone, and it's like, we're so sorry, your whole department's being laid off. And
Wow.
I was just in utter shock. Like, what? This is my first call of the day. I just got home from vacation, and, and so it can be a real slap for a lot of people, and really jolt you, and make you really have to sit back and think about what your next steps are going to be in life. For me, the blessing was being able to start my own company. I had so much experience from so many different industries, and I felt like I can do this. I can do my own, right? And having really good support around you, which was my business partner coming to my house, driving to my house and saying, we're starting a company today, which was, what catapulted. So, to anyone who's listening, who's been laid off, have hope that, and faith that you will find the next thing that's better for you.
Absolutely. And definitely network and surround yourself with really good people, right?
Yeah.
Because you never know. Even coming to these events, many, 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 many years ago, you know, working 10 hours a day, I had no time for nothing. I had no time
Yes.
for joining no associations. I had no time not even to take classes outside of my day-to-day job. I was so bombarded with work, and it was just like work, home, working over the weekends.
Mhm.
Um, when I started in my agile journey, I actually started going to events outside of my day-to-day job. I started taking classes and certification that my job wasn't paying for, right? I took the initiative to go outside of what I knew at the time. And that really made a big difference. So, for those of you that are joining today, thank you so much for joining, because this is where you network, this is where you
Yeah.
learn, where you get to listen to other things and meet other people with different experiences, right? And you never know, like you might meet somebody that might actually be able to help you, and connect. So, definitely connect with everybody on LinkedIn after today's session.
Yes,
But no,
please do.
that's wonderful. Um, I know that mentorship is one of the things that has really helped me out. What have been some of your biggest mentors, and if you'd like to share?
Yeah. Oh, I love talking about mentorship. I am passionate about mentorship because of the people who have poured into me um, over the years in my career. I mentioned the woman that introduced me to project management, who is still a friend of mine to this day. I've had other mentors, and you know, I talked about people leadership and how that was a big transition from being a high performer, individual contributor, and moving into like, okay, overnight you got a team and you got to start managing that team. And I had a mentor at that time, and she had managed people for 20 plus years. And my leader, my direct manager, was way too busy to help me figure out how to get a team working well together. And so she kind of stepped in and helped me um, through mentorship on how to be a people leader, which without her, I wouldn't have gotten through some really sticky spots, right? And so it's super important to have, it's not always your direct manager or the people who are on your team. Looking for people who are willing to invest in you and who are willing to share their past experience and knowledge is so important, and who are going to be honest with you too, right? You
Yeah.
need people who are going to be honest with love and give you the right feedback. So I've had a lot of great experience, and then I've also turned around and mentored other people. And so I think it's super important to, I have a couple people that I'm mentoring right now to give back that same way, right? Share your experience with other people.
Awesome. I know some people are shy and
Hmm.
they don't know how to ask somebody, or who would be the right person. One of the things that we talk about a lot is that as an individual, you may have different mentors for different areas of your life. So
Yes.
that's one thing also to think about, because there may be people that have specialties, I don't know, like yeah, a leader in your company that you want to look up to, that you're like, oh my God, I would love to get to that position someday, right? But then there's other people. You're into health and somebody is like a health freak and you're like, oh my God, can you help me? And then there's other people that have risen and have overcome obstacles, and you may be going through something and you may need somebody to support you, in that area. So it's important to know that when we talk about mentorship, it just all depends on the different areas of your life, and it's finding the right people at that moment that can help
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So
And if I can expand on that just for a second, two times that I've had instance with mentorship that stood out for me, that at the time was I was working for a company and they had a mentorship program. So if you have a company that you're working for and they have a mentorship program, sign up for it. Take advantage of that. In my case, I was paired with our CTO. Who better to be paired with? And built this great friendship with the CTO. And at that time, I'm just, PM walking around doing my thing. And I got paired with the CTO. We had such a great time working together that he was like, you want to do another year of mentorship, like after the program's done? So he mentored me for 2 years. And as a
wow.
result of that, I got a great opportunity to go back to the dealership that I started at and run their IT department. And that was huge. It came like full circle for me. So that was one experience through mentorship that allowed me to really grow and move into new roles. Another time, more recently, the same event, Regina, that you and I met at, a young woman approached me afterwards and she said, would you mind mentoring me? And I said, you know what? Yeah, you asked, I'll do it. And I'm mentoring her. So it just, sometimes it just takes asking. Sometimes it's a little more formal and sometimes it's a little more organic. So if you admire someone or you think you would work really well with them, just ask them. They might say yes and they might say no, but at least you tried, right?
I love that. And that sounds like a really casual approach.
Yes.
If you hit it off with the person and you feel comfortable, that's a great question to ask. I love that.
Yeah. Just ask. Hmm.
I love that. Amazing. So I know for me, right? If we look at, when we were kids, or kind of the experiences we had growing up, like my mother was a big mentor for me as well.
Hmm.
Okay. And so I come from immigrant parents who came to the United States, right? And then single mom, divorced, 3 jobs. Oh my goodness, learning a new language. And
Wow.
so for me growing up, it was like, okay, um, being told every day we came to this country to kind of give you a better opportunity, etc. So I had no excuse. It's like I knew that I had to work hard, and seeing after all the sacrifices that my mother went through, I had no excuse. I was born here. I knew the language, right? I was here to have a better life and to have a career. And school was not an option. School was never not an option, even if we
Hmm.
didn't have money. So that was the kind of like the way that we grew up. So my mother made a big difference in my life, and she's one of my mentors as well.
Yes, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. My mother, as well, was a big mentor for me, but not professionally, more personally. And what I mean by that is, anyone who knows my mother knows she was an amazing chef. She could cook,
Wow.
well known for how amazing she could cook, and she intentionally did not want me to learn. So she never taught me to cook a thing. And she would
Oh,
always, I
wow.
don't want you to learn to cook. And I would say, why? And she's like, I want you to go get an education. I want you to go to school and I want you to get a good education and I want you to be a professional. And in her mind, she just felt like, you go do that and she was just an amazing person, a big heart. The pots never had a bottom. It was like they were like bottomless pots. She could feed a village. She always had food for people. And so, yeah, she taught me more to be giving and generous on a personal side. And yeah, I
Love
would say
that.
she was an amazing mentor to me as well.
So we talked about you being Jamaican, and my
Yeah.
family's Cuban. And I told you when I was living in Atlanta, it was kind of hard to find a Cuban restaurant. But I found a Jamaican restaurant that had amazing, oh my God, what was the dish we were talking about? Um,
Oxtail.
Oxtail. Oh my God. So it's a big Cuban dish, like our
Yeah.
grandmothers and mothers make it, but it's also an amazing, amazing Jamaican dish. And it was
Yeah.
close enough to my Cuban oxtail at the Jamaican restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So, then, has anybody out there had any oxtail
I
before?
gotta
Is there
go look at
any?
the chat and
Let me
see
see. Yeah.
who
Who has
else loves
never
oxtail.
had oxtail? Who has never had oxtail? Raise your hand. Anybody out there?
Oh,
Oh my
Robin's
God.
never had it.
Robin. Oh my goodness. Robin, where did you say you lived?
Jeannie, Jeannie says
From
she loves it.
California. So the next time I'm in Atlanta, I'm gonna have to try it.
Yeah, or when you come
You
to
can get it in
Miami,
California.
yeah, try to find a
Yeah,
Jamaican
but
restaurant
they
in
don't know how to
California.
cook soul food or anything like that, or we don't have a lot of Jamaican places out here. So I'm gonna have
Oh
Yeah.
to
man.
go back to the South to
Well,
try this.
if you come to Miami, also go to a Cuban restaurant. They have it on the list. It's delicious also.
Okay. All right.
So
It's a
Jamaicans
very
are,
heavy dish, but it's
it's
you like
heavy and it's
yeah.
expensive too. I don't know what happened, but it's very expensive now. But yeah, I had to teach myself how to make it, Regina, because my mother was an amazing chef. Best oxtail you've ever had in your
Oh
life, hands down. And she refused to teach us how to cook.
oh my
So I
God.
have to look it up on YouTube, and I do know how to make it. And I make it every holiday. It's now my dish that I have to make and bring. I think it's also because it's the most expensive dish. So I think I got suckered into learning to make it and bringing it to all the family functions, but love it. Very
I
good.
love it. So if anybody has oh my God, of course, Joanne, my friend, she's on the line. She loves oxtail. If anybody finds a good YouTube video out there for Cuban or Jamaican oxtail recipe, please add it to the chat. So Robin, maybe you can just make it yourself. How about that?
There you go.
Oh, all right. Oh, and then Joanne says Haiti has oxtail too. Okay, Joanne, you're gonna have to take me to a Haitian
Have
I've
some
restaurant.
never
Haitian
had them
oxtail
from
too.
Haitian.
Haitian oxtail is very good.
Oh,
Oh,
I've never had
okay.
them.
You owe me that, Joanne. You owe me that one. That's my friend
Yes.
Joanne. Oh, and
Hi,
Saba's like,
Joanne.
let's go. All right,
Hi.
maybe we bring a dish next time for our podcast.
That
How
would be
about
great.
That would be nice.
that?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. So we wanted to do a quick poll. And I think Kat was going to help us because we want to talk about leadership now, right? I think leadership is also a very important
Yes.
topic. Get a little bit more into that. So we wanted to put a poll on the, let's see. I think Kat's going to help us.
I'll share my screen.
Yeah, she's gonna share her screen. And so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a QR code if you guys have your phones, or she may be able to put also the link on the chat, and we're gonna do a quick poll here. All right, I'm gonna try it also. Let's see. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna accept, waiting for presenter. So
Maybe
Kat,
you can share it.
let's see, put the first question to see everybody's background as a practice, and then we'll do the leadership one.
Okay.
Kamala, you okay?
Yeah, I was just thinking like you suggested sharing it as part of the chat, the link.
Yeah, let me see. Can you put it on the chat also? Is it possible, Kat?
Yes. Mhm. I'll
Okay.
share my.
All right. So if you guys are in, there's a question that says, what is your current role or title? If you guys can type it in, and then we can put that there. And that's kind of like our practice test. Okay. So Kamala, she put the link on the chat. For those of you on the chat. And then Kat, will we be able to see like a screen with all the answers?
Yes. Share my
Okay.
screen.
All right. Thank you. All right. I think there's still, it continues to refresh.
So we have some project managers and program managers. That's awesome. Agile coach, looking for work. That's fine too.
We got PMBA, product owner. Let's see, we got the link on the chat. Okay, awesome, awesome. Let's see. And then so we can pause here for a minute. Those of you that are looking for work, what type of work are you looking for? If you don't mind sharing. Or maybe you can put it on the chat. Right? We got a senior program manager. Do you guys want to share a little bit about what you do?
Project
Okay.
management and Scrum manager roles.
And that's Joanne, right? Joanne?
Yes.
All right, tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing right now.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm in the middle of looking for work. While I'm looking for work, I'm currently enrolled at Miami-Dade College. Well, even though I have an MBA, I'm just doing the AI practitioner. I'm doing the college courses, the AI practitioner at the MDC because they're giving out free scholarship. I say, why not?
That's wonderful. That's
But
wonderful.
that's what
So,
I'm currently focusing on now.
okay. See, we were talking about what do you do in between, right? Looking for another job. AI is a big factor right now, and it's a great learning opportunity for us. So, talking about reinventing ourselves and upping our skills, that's very smart, Joanne. That's very, very smart because we're all going to have to learn AI, right?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So amazing. All right. So you're also looking for an opportunity. Thank you for putting that in the chat. Anybody else? We heard there was a product owner also on the line. I think it was
So,
Ju. Uh-huh.
so I put senior project manager, but also program manager, but I also do product. So I have a dual role as well. That's why I thumbs up Joanne because I'm used to doing the two hats where I'm
Mm-hmm.
at. So, which by the way, I'm not certified in anything. I just been in my company for a very long time. I guess I'm just I was a people leader turned into loving technology. And from technology was like, oh, you're really good at organizing your projects from the operation level. And do you want to come over to the technology side and start running projects that you used to do on your operation side?
So that's how I got into it. And because of, you know, reduction in staff, became a product person as well. So
Amazing.
I'm learning Scrum and everything else as I do, right? So that's how I'm learning stuff. But yeah, so learning as I go. So I
Awesome.
do have two hats.
Yeah, and many times I know a lot of people have certifications, but the years of experience and hands-on experience counts for a lot on your resume as well, right? So that's amazing. Um, Now this is a great topic, Tiffany, right? Because the world of project management has changed. I
Yeah,
w was a PMO director. I had been a portfolio manager, program manager, project manager. I went through the whole, a lot of
same
years
here. All of
in
those roles.
all those roles.
I said
And
same here.
then,
I've had all of those roles.
yeah. And then my story is I met an agile coach that changed my life. And
Hmm.
part of the work that I do is, I help now project managers learn about agile, right? Because a lot of the roles are hybrid. Let me go ahead and Kat, go ahead and stop sharing. So this is a great topic, right? Because the world of project management is changing. Agile
Yes.
has been a huge, huge methodology that now has been rolled into the project management world because it comes from that. And so how do we up our here's the thing. It was Agile before that we were upping our skills to getting Agile certifications for those of us that were in project management for a long time. Now it's AI, right? Now it's AI. So now we got to up our skills in AI. So it's no longer just agility and agile and being a scrum master and being a product owner and then also having your project management background and being able to have the dual hats. Now it's AI. But from the project management and agile perspective, what has been some of your experience there?
So yeah, I too am certified. I have my ACP through PMI. I have my CSM certified Scrum Master, and so I had to get the knowledge and the education because for a moment, hold on one second, I'm still. We use Google for everything, so all of the reminders are coming on. Sorry. So yeah, I had to get certified and make sure that I was staying up with technology and the way that things were shifting and evolving. So my experience in Agile is running large, multi-million dollar initiatives that were in sprints and having to work with teams that did stand-ups in the morning and was doing, all of their coding in a sprint fashion. I've done Kanban where you have to pull in the work and all of those things. And if you didn't get certified or at least get some of the knowledge base there, you really couldn't work with those technical teams in that fashion. And then you come
Yeah.
across some places that have a hybrid of waterfall and agile. And they come up with their own methodology, if you will, of how their company will work. So you really have to be flexible, depending on the leadership of that company, depending on the culture of that organization, on being able to use agile to what they're comfortable with. And so
Yeah.
methodology, I think not everyone does it the same way, right? But it's really good to get the education and the training to understand the way it was intended to be used. But yes, that's what I would say about it.
No, that's amazing. So in my role, like I'm an enterprise agile coach, right? So yes, not everybody, if a lot of people say they're agile, but they're really not, right? So part of our job when we come into an organization is you got to standardize the
Yeah.
methodology, you got to standardize the language, everybody's got to get trained. Everybody's got to be at the same level so that then there's standardization there in the way that they're implementing Scrum, in the way that the Scrum Masters are working with the teams, and how the product owners are working with the teams, and how the roles and responsibilities happen. So that's in my experience, that's been my focus in the last couple of years. But we also work great with the PMOs and help
Hmm.
them because a lot of the Scrum Masters are still holding the dual project management responsibilities. That has not gone away, especially if the Scrum Masters report into the PMO. It's the project manager now having that dual role. So there's a little bit of a struggle there because they have more work now as a Scrum Master on the day-to-day, but then they're still reporting up to the PMO as well, right? So that's where we come in as agile coaches and we kind of help them. My PMO background has been a great blessing because I know that part of the world, and being able to kind of merge the two together has been really helpful in my experience, which is really great.
Yep.
So I just thought that was a great topic because we got a lot of folks here that are in those dual hats, right?
Yeah.
That are in those type of companies where they have to be Scrum Mastering an agile team, but they still have to report to the PMO, and they still have to do status reports, and they have to do financials as well.
Yes, yes. And you really need to know how to do both. You really need to be able to have the full gamut, because not every company does agile or does it well, right? And those that do it well, you should be able to match them in lingo and in skill. So it's very important to understand both.
Absolutely. How about the request for project managers and Scrum Masters to be more technical? That's been a
Yeah,
request. So what do you think about that?
I think it's important. It's very important. So I have this debate with friends all the time, like, you know, in my experience leading project managers, you cannot lead a technical project and not understand what they're trying to do. No one is expecting you to be able to code, but when it's talking about being more technical, you should really have a strong understanding of the technologies that are being used, maybe some of the competing technologies that are out there, what that technology is capable of doing. You have to have a good understanding of it, but no one's expecting that you should, well, I'm not expecting that you should be able to put your hands on a keyboard and code something. So yeah, I think it's very important, whatever industry you're in. Let's say you're in healthcare, you should have a strong understanding of some of the language used around you by doctors and nurses. How can you be effective as a project manager or a BA if you don't understand the lingo? So it really goes for everything, right? Whatever industry you're in, you should have a strong understanding. And so the same goes for technology. You should be technical if you're going to be an IT PMO or an IT project manager, right? What do you think, Gina?
So it's interesting because in my project management experience, and I did that for many, many years, I shifted through a lot of different industries and different types of projects, from SAP projects to ERP, Oracle,
Yes.
going into financials, going into manufacturing, and then I went into insurance, and then I went a little bit into healthcare. So each time that I shifted, no matter what, my role was to lead the team to do some sort of system implementation. But I had to force myself and be smart enough to understand enough about the industry and then enough about the technology to be able to bring the people together, right?
Yeah.
And understand the scope of what we were delivering, even though I was not the coder. Now, I was a great people person. So again, back to what you mentioned at the beginning, that's really where our strengths are. And then when I used to go to interviews, well, I didn't always say this in interviews, but I was like, if people ask me what do I do? And I'm like, I bring people together and I make things happen. So
Yeah.
that's been my motto, because right now I'm bringing people together and I bring things happen,
Absolutely,
make
you
things
are.
happen. I'm still
Absolutely.
doing that, but in different platforms and in different ways. But I did shift a lot across different industries, and I had to learn. I wasn't always the expert, right? But I knew how to bring the right people to have the right conversation at the right time to kind of make things happen and fix problems and escalate, right? And do that troubleshooting that we had to do, right? And making sure that people were agreeing and that they were negotiating and that there were working agreements done. It's not that different in the agile world either, because we're still working with the same components and the same challenges. It's
Yeah.
just now I have a different bag of tricks as an agile coach, right? That's one of the things that I loved when I got into agile, is that I learned a lot of different techniques that I didn't have before. I had a world of techniques before, but then it just increased my bag of tricks. So when I
Yeah.
come in and I'm faced with a challenge, I'm like, oh, okay, let's try this technique. Let's try that technique. Let's try to restructure things a little bit like this. So that's been my experience. And I'm still learning. And now we got to learn AI. Now we
Yeah.
got to learn
I
AI.
love it though. I love that about technology. Like you never
Yeah,
stop learning. You never stop
absolutely.
learning. And I think that's the other thing too. It's so important to be curious. Like you hear something come up in a meeting, it's technical, you don't know what it is, jot it down, go do the research. You owe it to your team to understand a little bit about what they're talking about. And I
Become
think
best
that's
friends with the
probably
technical leaders.
they're so
Take
good.
them out for coffee or schedule a
Yeah.
Zoom.
You know, I've had the just like you said, I've had the opportunity to like work with some leaders that are more than happy to whiteboard on a whiteboard or, you know, take out a scratch of paper and show you what they're talking about. They love to show off technology. And so it's just about being curious and just, you know, going that extra mile to do the research sometimes.
I love it. I love it. And then being able to help people, right? You know, I
Yes.
think that's where the passion is. I love it. Which goes back to leadership. We were gonna do an
Yeah.
exercise of leadership. Let's go ahead and on the chat, guys. Everybody who's still here, please write down your favorite leadership trait. What is your favorite leadership trait? If you guys can write it down in the chat. And we got amazing leaders here. We got Saba. Let's see. Let's see, guys. Write your favorite leadership trait. Or if anybody wants to share, what's your favorite leadership trait? Or the leadership trait that you think is the most
Transparency.
important that represents you. Okay, we got a ton. All right, transparency, respect, listening. What else? What else? Let's see. Christopher, Maureen, Dennis, Denise. Oh, authentic and empowering. I love that. Let's see. Nadine, Kimberly. So you had mentioned earlier, Tiffany, like you went into people reporting directly to you, right? And then
Yeah.
you hadn't had some leadership training before that, right? What are your biggest lessons learned? And what would you say are your biggest leadership traits?
So I had tons of leadership training. They don't teach you what you need to know when you really get people working for you, and it's different, right? Like everyone, you become the mom, and everyone's complaining about this or that, or someone's not performing or whatever. I think what I learned, right, through having an amazing mentor during that period, when I first had my first official team, was you really have to be empathetic and you have to listen. So someone listed listening. I loved every single trait everyone listed. But a lot of times you just have to be empathetic and you have to listen. Everyone is going through their own thing. Everyone has their own battles and you know things that they're working on in their personal lives. And sometimes if you just slow down and ask them, "What's going on? Talk to me. I'm here to talk to you," and you actually listen, you can learn a lot about a person and you can learn a lot about how to help that person. It's not always about checking a box and getting things done. You have a better chance of helping someone and really enriching someone's life if you slow down to listen to what they need. And so I learned that most from being a leader.
I love it. I love it. I know that sometimes a lot of people think, oh, well, I don't have the title, so I'm not a leader, right? And one of the things that we got to think about is you are a leader, regardless of what title you have,
Agree.
because at some point or another, any of us are being called to be an example,
I
right?
was just going to say
To
that.
sort of mentor
Hmm.
and coach somebody else, even if that's not our job description or if that's not our title. So, it's food for thought there. We don't have to have the title to be leaders.
No, you
Every
do not.
single one of you is a leader, right?
Yes.
And so how can we embody that more every day? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was gonna say, at a minimum, we're leading by example, right? The way we show up for work, the energy we bring to work, whether we are enthusiastic about change and the possibility of change, that is reflected on everyone around you. And so, at a minimum, we lead by example. And we have to treat other people, I saw someone wrote respect, with the same respect that we expect to receive is super important. That's all a part of leadership. It's not just about getting work done, it's also about how you work with other people and show other people to treat you. And so, I think leadership shows up just like that. It
I love
doesn't
it.
have to be a title
And sometimes you think you don't even know it, but people are watching you and
all the
people are
time.
looking up to you, and you might not
All the time.
even be aware of that. And then you'll meet somebody that runs into you and goes, "Oh my God, you really made a big impact in my life." And it wasn't anything that you were even doing intentionally. It might have been
Yeah,
because to your example, how you showed up, how you treated
yeah.
that person, right? How
You
you
know,
helped them.
so many times someone has said to me, you know what you told me one time? You said XYZ. And I'm like, I said that? And they're like, yeah, you said that to me. And I was like, wow, that sounds amazing. That's very wise. I'm like, that's great. People listen to you and they're watching you and they're taking note of the things you do and say and how you show up and how you react. And so to that point, you have to lead by example,
Absolutely. Also
yeah.
know that your leaders don't always know best,
They
right?
don't.
They're human. They're human too.
Mhm.
So sometimes you have to manage up as well, you
Yes, you
know?
do. You do. And like I mentioned before, I had a leader and he couldn't lead me during that period, and my mentor had to step in for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have that too. It
Amazing.
happens, right?
Amazing. So I know one of the last topics we want to talk about is work-life balance. All right.
Yeah,
I think this is true for both women and men, right?
both
How do
women and
we
men.
both, right? And do we still got some guys here on the line. So what are some of the challenges for work-life balance? Oh, look, Christopher. Christopher's giving us a thumbs up.
Oh,
Thank you,
good, good.
Chris.
Because yeah, it's both. It's both. Um,
Yes.
I want to say I think I have a pretty good handle on it, and I'll tell you why. I don't think it's very challenging for me, and it has not been, to be honest, because I have an amazing support system. I have a family that we all pick up for each other and chip in for each other. Right now, my kids are cooking dinner tonight. They knew tonight would be their night to cook dinner, and we all chip in. And so I think that's super important, that just because I'm the mom of the house or the wife of the house, certain things don't have to fall on me. So we balance, we all respect what each other has going on. And then it's really important to make time for yourself. So I mentioned I don't have hobbies, but I do like to do Pilates. And I remember you said you like that as
Yeah.
well. And I make it a point to like put my phone in the locker when I do it and just really use that time for myself. Um, and just having little things that I do for myself that kind of bring me joy and bring me peace. And we also spoke about the fact that I'm a woman of faith, and I think it's super important that you have something that you can pour yourself into, and you have, like in my case, I have the Lord that I can look to and pray and just really spend that portion of my life that way. And so that's very important to me. That brings me a lot of balance. Without that, I don't think I could have said, I don't have those issues, because I know how to balance and leverage family, right?
No, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. I think it's all about balance, right? So
It
whatever
is.
balance means to you, and whatever helps you, just get yourself together and calm down and be able to focus and be able to be the best you in all the different areas of your life, whether it's with your family, with your kids, with your loved ones, with your health, with yourself, at work, with your coworkers. It's it's trying to find that best version of yourself, but be kind enough to yourself to allow yourself, to do that. So be
Yeah,
kind, be kind, be kind, take a breath. You know,
absolutely.
we don't have to fix all the problems in one day, you know.
No.
things will eventually settle, right? And sometimes, sometimes we lose sight of that. So
Yes.
absolutely. All right. We want to allow some times for questions,
I would
guys.
love questions.
Any questions? Any questions? We're opening it up for questions. And we've had such a great and honest conversation, guys. Anything you ask us, we'll try our best to answer.
Oh, I'm gonna answer it completely
I have a
honestly.
question.
I
Yes.
Okay.
have one.
Okay.
This is
Sorry.
Kamala. So we have all these certifications, right? We go through all of these learnings. There's the Scrum, there's lean processes, but then companies, everybody wants to be agile. They have great tools like Azure, DevOps, and everything. How could you level set expectations to stakeholders and still be like hired?
Can you repeat the question? Repeat the question. Or maybe
So I'm just
simplify the
saying,
question a bit more.
yeah, with the usage, right, of the different tools that we have, whether it's a hardware tool like Azure or it's just, the different principles like Agile and Scrum, how could you level set these expectations with the stakeholders? Be like, we can't go over capacity, or just the real issues like these stories aren't thinly sliced. Things like that, but still keep your job at the end of the day. Be transparent, be honest, but still be liked, I
Oh,
guess.
Okay. Do you want me
so
to try to
I
answer
can
that?
I
Go
think,
ahead.
Regina, you're the expert in this space, right? But I do want to comment on one thing before I turn it back over to you so you can give a real good answer on that. I think a lot of times stakeholders, they don't know what's going on behind the curtain. And so a lot of times we know the impact it has. I just had this conversation this morning with a client that came to me and said, we need 4 people to do XYZ and we need it by end of December. And when I did all the math of what XYZ was, it was impossible to have it done by December. And I think they don't care about what's going on behind the scenes. So when you say it's not thinly sliced enough, they have no clue what that means in a lot of cases, right? And so we really have to bring it back to how they will understand it, right? And a lot of times that boils down to the scope and what you can get done within a time frame, whether it be agile or waterfall. And so the impact and the result that they're going to get from maybe a sprint or whatever, and a lot of negotiation has to happen in that space. So all hope is not lost. You should still be able to get a job. It's a way that you frame it. That's really important, that they can translate and understand what it means when you frame it up, and it translates back down to results and what that means for them, right? So that's what I would say. Regina, what would you add to that?
No, that's very good. I guess you did mention the tools, Kamala, right?
Tools.
And then so again, I don't have experience with Azure, but I do with Jira. Okay. So and they're very, very similar. So let's say you have Agile, I'm talking from the Agile team perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. You have Agile teams using these tools. So two different parts. There's the transparency and visibility of implementing the Scrum framework for a Scrum team or a Kanban team and trying to do the best you can if you're allowed, okay, to have a true cross-functional team, to have the Scrum ceremonies, right? Or the Kanban ceremonies from the practice perspective. The Scrum Master, you got daily stand-ups, you got your sprint planning, you got your demos, you got your retrospectives. Those alone are transparency radiators if done correctly, and you're having the right people in those teams. You want to come find out what's happening with that team? Come to the demo, right? The team continuous improvement, have tons of retrospectives. However, again, on the empirical process of Scrum and Agile, which is transparency and visibility, the tools play a huge part. From the Agile perspective, examples in Jira, apart from having the team boards, we have a ton of dashboards. There's a ton of reporting capabilities and a ton of dashboards that I'm sure you can do in Azure DevOps, all right, to show the progress of the teams. We have metrics for epics. We have metrics for user stories, right? We have metrics to show timelines at the sprint level. We have roadmaps, but following the sprint cadences. So there's ways to radiate risks, ways to radiate actions. All of those are tied into the tools. So if you've got a good agile methodology, number one, because that's first, right? People over process and tools. You got to have the people first. You got to have the methodology and the mindset first. Then you can dive into the tool. The tools are great though. The tools is where your people go look for the reports, the ones that are not part of the teams, where we're able to radiate. We work with the PMOs too as well, Tiffany, right? To set up all these different tools to radiate all these different types of reports. So there's a lot of great opportunities there to merge the two. And now with AI, are you kidding me? AI is coming into all these tools and helping us with better reporting. Kamala, I hope that answered your question.
Did
I'm
it,
not sure.
Kamala? Did we get all the points for you?
You
Yeah,
sure did. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you guys continue to focus on the people part of it. And then,
Yeah.
with me, you were like, the framework and stuff like that. Thank you.
okay. You're welcome. You're welcome.
I know
Do
Joanne had a
yeah.
question as well.
Hey, Joanne.
Thank you, Tiffany. Yeah, I have a question. So I know I've been doing project management for a while. So 7 months ago, I was laid off. And I know I was working as a consultant, even though I know I'm capable of doing certain job. I'm not a good interviewer because I have spent 10 years in a company. But now I start feeling like an imposter syndrome. It's like I do get interview with very good company, but I go 2 to 3 interview and they don't select me and they don't even tell you the feedback why you are not selected. Even I even go for a position that's below me, which I'm overqualified. I still not get selected. So now I start feeling like imposter syndrome. I'm like, should I go back and be a data scientist coding? Because right now I'm thinking moving away from the PM because I have all the certification and everything. So now I say I'm trying to focus on maybe being a go back and be a developer because I start feeling imposter syndrome right now. And then, Regina, we work together, and but I'm not great at interviewing. I said, maybe it's something wrong with my interview skill. I need to work on that. So what are your advice for me, ladies?
So without knowing what you interview like, maybe there's some things you can improve with your interview skills. I think we all have space for improvement there. I would suggest that you do a mock interview with someone who you can trust or mentor a friend that will give you honest feedback, right? If your next interview, take down some notes on the questions that you took and that they asked you, and then do a mock interview the next time with a friend or a trusted. But also don't be discouraged. There's so many factors that go into why a person is not selected that sometimes have nothing to do with the person that interviewed for the role. And so don't go changing your career just because you're not landing that position, because there could be other factors that had nothing to do with you, right? So definitely spend some time coaching with people you trust, even recording yourself so you can go back and listen to it and see if there's something you could have improved on. But don't be discouraged. There will be something out there for you, right?
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Tiffany.
much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I think Christopher has a question on the line. Tiffany, he says, any tips and tricks you recommend when it comes to creating and ultimately sharing a timeline for a project? One of my weak spots is estimations, and it comes up a lot when acting as a de facto PM.
So one of the weak spots are estimates. So tips and tricks on sharing timelines for a project. Of course, the content is extremely important. You want to make sure that it makes sense and the math works. And I'm actually working on one right now, and we're going back and forth on the math, because if the math is not accurate, no matter how you present it, is not going to land, right? I think tips and tricks on presenting and sharing a timeline, make sure you know all of the impacting factors, holidays, maybe resources need to be ramped up on a technology and that takes time. There a lot of time people don't include contingency or they don't include enough. So depending on the risk and the amount you know about the project or don't know about the project, you should be including contingency to reflect that. Um, one person may work faster on something than another. So there are a lot of little factors you want to consider, and it's good to kind of brainstorm and whiteboard that before you start putting pen to paper on an estimate. A lot of times you can also leverage projects that are similar that have been done in the past to see what that timeline looked like if that's available to you. So those are some things that I would include. And then when the content is solid, making it really easy on the eyes to follow is important. If people are printing, I don't know that people really print stuff as much anymore, but if people are printing your timeline and sticking it up on their desk, you know it's a good one because they are constantly looking and referencing it. Or they have it at their fingertips, saved as a bookmark, you know it's a good one. So it has to be easy on the eyes as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Chris, did that help out a little bit?
Chris, did that answer your question?
It did, yeah. Super helpful. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Thank you. I think Jeannie has a question.
Yes. And then I see Suruchi has her hand raised
Yeah.
or his hand raised.
Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hi.
I just wondered if you have any advice for someone who is trying to start out in the field. As I mentioned in one of my texts earlier, I was in the medical field and I had a son. I became a full-time mama because I wanted to be with him. But now that I'm looking to get back into, the job market, I wanted to pivot. My heart's not really in ophthalmology anymore. So I was looking into getting into IT or program managing, project management, things of that nature. So I did start with taking some agile courses as well as Scrum. And with that, this whole new world opened up with, like you guys mentioned, these tools, Jira and Trello and things that I've never heard of before. Um, and it's a little bit overwhelming, but I know there's a long journey. I just wondered if you had any advice for someone who is starting out, being that you both started out at one point with little to no knowledge, and now you guys own your own businesses, so you guys have a beautiful perspective on both ends.
Can I say something real quick? So we have a big Agile community. On Saturday mornings, we have a free Agile coaching clinic. And we actually have coaches from all over the United States that volunteer. We've been doing this since before COVID. And in COVID, we went global. Like there's people calling in from all over. We have like Agile for beginners, intermediate, and advanced. And it's a great safe space where you can say, hey, I'm starting out and people can give you overviews, show you the different frameworks. It's a volunteer thing, and that happens on Saturday. So we have a lot of people in your same situation that are looking for guidance. A lot of our community started out there, and now they have jobs, they have certifications, and you're more than welcome to join. I think if you go to our site and Kat can add it again, you'll
Yeah.
see the Saturday coaching clinics. Welcome to come and you can ask any questions there and people can help you out for sure, for sure. But can I say something? A lot of my best friends that were stay-at-home moms and then started working again had the best project management skills that I had ever seen in my life. Okay, let me say that. Okay, because they were moms and they had to like coordinate and manage so much. So you have the skills. You have the skills. Okay. It's just a matter of getting the right guidance and connecting with the right people. We're putting that now in the chat for you. I hope that helps, Jeannie.
It did. Thank you. That's actually how I came across this webinar. I was doing research and it's like, okay, network, join associations and webinars. So I went crazy looking and I found you guys and that's how I ended up here. So thanks. That does help.
Yeah. I will add one thing, the blend of tech and healthcare, you don't always have a lot of people who are savvy in both. And sometimes when you find that person, it's a unicorn. So don't abandon your healthcare experience. It can come in very handy and very useful in the tech side of the world. And so bring it on over to tech. We're looking for you. We need people who are strong in healthcare on the clinical side who can bring that to technology.
That's awesome. That encourages me because
It
as the
should.
previous woman mentioned before, I haven't been interviewed in years. So just thinking about it is daunting. I'm like, oh my God, what do I even say anymore? But so
Yeah,
thanks. That helps.
definitely leverage that.
Awesome.
I
And we
will.
have
Thank you.
a conference next year, the Agile International Conference in Miami. And we do job fairs and we bring in a
Oh,
lot
that's
of the
great.
recruiters and they do great panels. So check out our events. I'm actually having
Awesome.
a tech recruiting company for our next in-person event for international women in leadership. And we're going to talk about resume writing and interviewing techniques. That's September 11 in Miami.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I saw the link. That is wonderful. I will be there because I'm in South Florida, so that's great.
Awesome. Awesome.
Very
I
good.
think we got our last question. Saruchi?
Yeah, this is Suruchi and Regina. You know me very well. I know Joanne very well. Joanne, we had a great time at Miami. I heard your story. As a friend, I am just sharing few things. You need to make friendship with three things. First of all, yourself. You are the best friend of yourself. You are more than good enough. First of all, I know you are more than good enough for any job. Second thing, make friendship with perseverance. And third thing is resilience. The market is not good, you are going to get the best thing very soon. Okay, so just keep going, and me as a friend is always available for any call,
Oh,
anytime.
I love that.
Okay,
That's
that's all.
awesome.
And I had gone through this process. This is not something which I am just sharing as a mentor or a coach. I know I wear all these hats, but I had been through the path. So feel free to just pick up call, give me a call, let's talk. Okay, and I can share multiple tips with you. Nothing to worry about it. You are more than good enough for any job.
I love
Awesome.
that.
We love you, Saruchi.